Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. To start today's show, guys, I want to give one of you $25. So go ahead, predict the score below in the comment section. And remember, you got to tell us who's going to win the game. Number 19, Michigan. Coming into the game with one loss against Wisconsin a couple weeks back versus undefeated number 14, Iowa. Homecoming in Ann Arbor. First person to correctly predict the score in the comments below and tell us what team's going to win the game. No cheating and just putting a score down there. I will send $25 Venmo next week. So go ahead and do it now. You are watching the Michigan Football Report, getting going right now. Guys, the channel is going private. We've got a new introduction to the show, you see. Just going with that cold open for the $25 hard cash. And got to make sure everybody sees this message to all of you, the amazing folks that have made this show happen. We didn't get to our goal of 5,000 to keep the channel alive. Let it kind of got some credit out for another month if we hit a few goals. The show's growing. Subscribers not as fast as the fat cats needed. So October 10th is the final day. Non-subscribers can watch the show. They're going to make the channel private. We're still going to do the show for all you subscribers. So if you enjoy what we do here, please subscribe before October 10th so you don't miss out once the show goes private. We get to 5,000 though, we probably can keep it public for everybody. So help us hit the 5,000 mark. Only got about 400 or 500 subscribers to go. Michigan football rumors coming at you here on a Thursday, 48 hours from the game of the century of the week in Ann Arbor. Michigan versus Iowa. Dylan McCaffrey out again, missed the Rutgers game. Joe Milton got that backup role, kind of elevated from third string to second string after McCaffrey went out for the second year in a row with injury against Wisconsin. I'm giving this one a 3 Harbaugh head. Haven't really found out for sure either way to put it a 4 Harbaugh head or maybe even a fake news on it. But a pretty good tea leaf readers when it comes to who's going to play, who's not, just talking to some sources, seeing what Michigan is willing to comment on. So 3 Harbaugh heads on this one. Dylan McCaffrey, going to miss this game, went in concussion protocol 2 years in a row against Wisconsin, which I find a little coincidental, but also, man, if he was the starting quarterback at Michigan, I would be terrified that he would be injured basically every game because he gets injured at a higher rate than any player in Michigan football history. And so some of you said, well, he's skinny, he's not ready, whatever it is. He seems to throw his body, his caution to the wind. I remember last year against Wisconsin, it was in a long run instead of just kind of pulling up and going out of bounds or sliding downfield, whatever it is. He tried to lower his shoulder and got tackled hard to the ground, broke a collarbone. A couple weeks ago, tried to hurdle into a player and just got absolutely smoked by a guy, got a concussion. So his health is certainly a concern. But it's bringing up the opportunity for other players. I think there was a chance that he would have probably taken some first half snaps against Rutgers had he been healthy, given the struggles that Shea Patterson had in previous games, specifically the awful showing against Wisconsin and the different struggles against Army a few weeks back. But it's opening the door for the man you saw out there in the fourth quarter for Michigan. It's Joe Milton. Didn't get as much of a chance to throw the ball. He certainly wasn't throwing double-digit times or running multiple drives up and down the field, tossing the ball. But when he did get to air it out, Milton was pretty damn effective. 3 of 4 passing, 59 yards, and a touchdown, which was a really nice-looking pass down the field to Giles Jackson. Despite what John Jansen and Jim Brandstetter want to tell you, the young man's name is Giles. It's not Giles. I know they work in the building, James. They know everything. Well, the kid's name is Giles, not Giles. So don't listen to everything you read or hear on the radio or podcast. Abraham Lincoln did tell me that one time. Michigan is playing Iowa this week. 3.5-point favorites. I am putting my money on the Wolverines to cover that spread. I think it was Wisconsin last year all over. All the scribes and pundits are saying Michigan's going to lose one at home to a plotting Big Ten West team. I think it's going to be Michigan big time, so I'm putting money on the Wolverines. At BetDSI, I use promo code GOBLUE to sign up and get myself a 120% deposit bonus. Quick math, I threw 100 down to get started. I got an extra 120, had 220 sitting in my account. My only regret now is I didn't put like $300 or $400 in and get much more bonus money to be able to bet with. You only get the deposit or the bonus when you first deposit, so use that promo code GOBLUE, chatsports.com/bet. What do? Click on college football, find this game. Michigan has gone from a 7-point favorite to a 3.5-point favorite. over Iowa in just a matter of days. Went from 7 on Sunday afternoon to Tuesday afternoon. A couple days back, it had dropped to 3 and then popped back up to 3.5. A lot of the early money from the public bettors came in heavy on Iowa. We saw as high as 80+% of the money at one point on Monday and Tuesday on the Hawkeyes. It's scaled back a little, some more money coming in Michigan, and that's why the line moves. The sportsbooks want you now to bet on Michigan to even out the money. But that's the line. That is the spread for the Michigan-Iowa game. I'm putting money on the Wolverines at BetDSI. How about Cam McGrone? I'm glad some of you, and thank you to those of you who did, there were quite a few, recognize that I was the only one who had Cam McGrone as a starter when fall camp started, based on what I heard in spring, based on what I heard in summer, and maybe I should be the defensive coordinator of this team because I feel whoever I put as starter. I also had Dax Hill as a starter, if you don't remember, and I had every indication that would take place from the beginning of the year, but for some reason it took, I guess, bad play for the right guys to get on field, which always is surprising when it comes to watching football, that average fans can see what is so plainly obvious and the coaching staff doesn't, why you stick with players that nearly aren't as good. So Cam McGrone got in the game. Josh Ross injured. 3 Harbaugh heads on this one that he has cemented his starter role. I want to give it the 4 Harbaugh heads. I think it's pretty close to a fact, but the thing we don't know is when Josh Ross returns. It could be against Iowa. Oh, I don't believe that it will be. McGrone was slated to be his backup in that middle linebacker role, and they gave the outside linebacker role to Jordan Glasgow. And Glasgow played good for a couple games, but I think we've seen over the last 2 games we got into Big Ten play. Wisconsin, he was out of position and got run over a couple times, and certainly wasn't set up to play, wasn't set up to succeed when they had him with his hand down as like a defensive tackle on that Wisconsin 4th down play when the quarterback just basically literally snapped the ball and just took a step to the side and walked in. But when Josh Ross returns, whether it's against Iowa, we'll see, I don't think it will be, whether it's in a couple weeks against Illinois, Penn State, Notre Dame, how does this linebacking core look? We've got Khaleke Hudson cemented as the Viper, which is considered a linebacker under Don Brown's defense, and Josh Uche taking almost all the snaps at the other linebacker position, which is kind of like a defensive end, but they call it a linebacker nevertheless. So you've got 2 positions left. They've been running a 3-4-4 and some other variations, not a standard 4-3 like they have in past years under Don Brown. So when Ross comes back, does McGrone get benched behind the captain Josh Ross, or does the more likely option, the one I think only makes sense, do they find a way to get McGrone and Ross on the field at the same time? And does that make Jordan Glasgow, a backup? Does he get his role greatly reduced because of the emergence of Cam McGrone? So, I want to ask this question to you guys. We'll get back into the Cam McGrone information and talk about what the coaches think about him in a minute. But should he be a starting linebacker? I think anyone who's watched Michigan football for a few games this year, and certainly going into the past, it's always like you see a guy get on the field for the first time, and you just know. I remember watching being at the Florida-Michigan game in Dallas a couple years back, and it was so blindly obvious how much better Devin Bush was than any other linebacker Michigan had for a number of years. In his first start as a sophomore, I kind of got the same feeling, although not nearly as good, watching Cam McGrone. So should he be a starting linebacker? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. I am just littering the comment section myself with why, because it makes no sense to keep Jordan Glasgow on the field, your best 11 guys, and keep a guy like Cam McGrone on the bench, especially now we're into Big Ten season. Jim Harbaugh liked what he saw. Harbaugh basically says on McGrone's play versus Rutgers, Cam McGrone keeps playing like this, he's going to be a star. The way he runs again, really played well last week, but his physicality is really every week higher and higher. Really pleased with him. I think a lot of people were really pleased with what they saw out of Cam McGrone on Saturday against Rutgers. So we'll see him back on field. I have every indication that McGrone will start. We probably won't see Josh Ross. If we did, which I don't think we will, it could be as a backup role like we saw out of Michael Dwumfor. Want to get him back into the game after an injury like Dwumfor did, but not necessarily as a starting role. And what kind of defense would Ross and McGrone be starting for? Well, it's not nearly the defense we've expected from Don Brown over the last 3 seasons, typically in the top 10 in most statistical categories. You see them number 3 in the nation at only 127.8 yards per game passing defense, but we do have to remember Army, they throw the ball 5 times, 6 times, whatever it was, and Wisconsin could have passed more and certainly had some success when they did, but didn't need to. So the number 22 defense in the country, that's maybe about right, although I do think 295, given the competition so far, is higher than I would have expected or would have thought. Giving up 168 on the ground is concerning, but that has inflated the opposite way of passing because you went against the best running back in the country and then the most potent rushing attack, at least for as far as number of rushes, in Army in 2 of your 4 games, giving up 20 points a game. The Wolverines are number 32 in the nation. Type your votes, folks. Type your votes. Who's going to win this game? I'm taking receipts here. I am taking receipts because I see too much negativity out there on the internet from you guys, from the creeps who go on MGO Blob and the message board. They're really grimy people that you wouldn't be caught dead having a conversation with. A lot of negativity out there. We don't want to be like them. We want to be like us. We're the good guys. We're putting Michigan on this one. So type M if Michigan's going to win. Type I for Iowa if no, they're not going to win. If I see you typing an I, though, just warning, really quick warning. Unless you're an Ohio State fan, we'll give them a pass. If you're a Michigan fan, type an I, and we have to ban you from the show. That's just a fact. But I've been winning big time in college football this year. You guys have seen it if you follow me on Twitter, and I do so because I use the Action Network. We came across them last year. We started using them here at Chat Sports, and the insights, analysis, finding what the experts are picking, that tell you what percentage of the money is going towards certain teams from the public, where the big-time pro bettors are putting their money, and it basically gives you a cheat sheet to betting on sports. They told us, if you want to offer it to your followers, since you're such an avid user there at Chat Sports, James, 40% off their monthly service of $9.99. It's the best app out there for betting on sports. You don't make the bets on them, but you get the insights. Chatsports.com/deal. Get you down to $5.99 a month from the normal $9.99 a month, a 40% off exclusive. Keep it rolling. Michigan football rumors. Are more freshmen likely to redshirt? I even have a tough time even thinking about this now. We said, how do we word this one? But most of the freshman class is going to redshirt, is what it seems, based on the depth charts and who's gotten into the games when there's been opportunities against Rutgers, against Middle Tennessee State. 4 Harbaugh heads on this one. FACK fact. You are going to see a majority of this 2019 freshman class redshirt because there are only 8, 9 guys or so that have played significant snaps now, and those are the guys that are going to keep playing throughout the year. The 4-game minimum, the 4-game maximum to play before you automatically are not allowed to redshirt has been hit by a number of freshmen. So if you see any of these guys in games throughout the rest of the year, they don't have any choice to redshirt, even if they were to get injured, or even if they were not to perform up to standard or capabilities that we think they would. Zach Charbonnet, Giles Jackson, John Jansen, Giles, not Giles, Cornelius Johnson, the wide receiver, Mike Sainristil. 3 wide receivers and a running back. Kind of shows you what the offense might look like a year from now when some receivers may move on to the NFL or otherwise. Eric All, the tight end, a lot of offensive skill position players. Then you go to the other side. Dax Hill, you get the defenders here. Daxton Hill is the only defensive player that has appeared in all 4 games. I think a couple of those, I think he's appeared in 3 on defense and all 4 on special teams, but certainly has seen a lot of snaps the last 2 weeks against Wisconsin and against Rutgers. Christopher Hinton, Anthony Solomon at linebacker, DJ Turner. Hinton got in on the defensive line, but Solomon and Turner, you might say, I haven't seen those guys out there, mostly on special teams, punt and kick return coverage and the like. Mazi Smith there, we see him with 0. And you'll see the rest of these guys that I'm expecting to redshirt. The players we've shown you now is at 10 total, Brett. We say these are the guys that will not redshirt. All in, they are going to play this week and hit the 5, or Hinton, Solomon, DJ Turner, or and Mazi Smith there. We're going to change his name. I think we're going to do that in a minute. Mazi Smith, I think, from now on. They will play 5 games before the end of the year. Mazi Smith currently at 0, but I think he's in the 2 deep. We'll talk about that throughout the show coming up later this week. Expected to redshirt for the Wolverines, Cade McNamara, the quarterback, George Johnson, Carson Barnhart, who did play in a game, 1 game, but we don't expect him to play 4 more games. So he'll redshirt. All 6 linemen, expected offensive linemen that are freshmen, expected to redshirt. Zach Carpenter, one of those. Trente Jones out of the state of Georgia. Trevor Keegan, one of the higher-rated linemen, a late commit to Michigan in the recruiting cycle. I've got, I really like what Keegan is going to bring to this team. Gabe Newberger, and then Nolan Rumler, a player that had the opportunity to get into the 2 deep, but I think when John Runyon got healthy and we saw what Mayfield and everybody could do, when Running was hurt early on. I think that it makes more sense to not force a true freshman to play. Save that red shirt. Other players: Mike Morris, David Ojabo, defensive lineman, Charles Thomas, a guy who's been committed to Michigan, I swear, since before my son, who turns 3 in a couple weeks. I feel that Thomas, I'll have to look this up, was committed to Michigan before he was even born. So I feel like Thomas committed to Michigan as a sophomore in high school. Joey Velasquez, the multi-talented player, the baseball player, the linebacker, maybe safety. We'll see where he goes when he gets in the field. Jalen Perry, with Ambry Thomas's rumored injury that turned out to be true, I thought Jalen Perry might see the field a little earlier than expected, but Ambry Thomas got healthy on the field, didn't need to burn a red shirt for Perry, so expect him to redshirt. And then Quentin Johnson, the safety out of D.C. area, is injured and is out for the season. We've known that since before the 2019 season. Got started August 31st. Guys, I'm going to put the outfit on. I want to make sure you guys know I'm going to be in Ann Arbor, be walking around. No worries in the world when it comes to doing a show or anything like that. I know I'm not going to get cell phone service because there's no internet or Wi-Fi and all that stuff, so phone will probably be in pockets. So if you see this guy walking around, it's my game day outfit. You'll see this exact guy. It's going to be Yoder. If you hear the jangling, it's the microphone. Sorry, we'll deal with it. Yoder walking around with the sunglasses on, the Michigan polo, the one they give to the big-time donors only, and then my $200,000 diamond and platinum, no turnover chain. Didn't work against Wisconsin, kind of worked against Rutgers, but I'm going to wear it in person. So you see this guy wearing this around. Don't rob me, big time. But pull me over, give me a Yoder, got a beer for you. I'll come over, tailgate, or let me know, DM me on Instagram before I get to campus on Saturday, because of course, no cell phone service, no Wi-Fi around Michigan Stadium. That's the show for today. We'll be back on Friday with another episode, folks. Until then, we've got our rumors from Wednesday here, my Michigan football grades here, and if you haven't yet, so hit subscribe before October 11th, or you might not be able to watch the Michigan Football Report ever again. Go Blue.